Hello, 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 and welcome to the Coach's Corner. I'm your host, George Zays, along with my partner and friend, Dave Steve. Welcome, Dave. What's going on, my brother?
I'm glad you called me a friend, George. Leading up to the show, I sometimes have my worries, and I'm feeling a lot better now that you call me friend. By the way, shout out to Shoo. All right.
That's right.
You would have been going to the Olympics this year, hopefully next year, all right, because of COVID.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's the way sometimes the ball bounces, right?
Yeah. Or the punches land.
What's that?
Or the punches land. I want to keep it boxing, George. Okay?
You know what? Yeah, you're right. That's sometimes the way the punches land. Right. So welcome
sorry, I'm being boxing obnoxious. I'm sorry. It's
all good, man. All good. All right. So welcome that you're tuned in with us. Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming out. All right. So we have a pretty interesting show today. We have a couple things that we want to talk about, things that are pretty unique in boxing. Sometimes you see these guys that are really, really fit, right? And you see them working out and they have a lot of muscles, right? But
yeah,
does that really help in boxing? Does that really work out and, to help you to be a better boxer? That's the question.
George, let's go right into it. Let's not. You and I are speculating right now. We're speculators, all right? We don't know if the stock's going to go up or go down. We don't know if the show is going to get copyright written off the air. We're just speculators, all right? We're digging for gold. Let's bring in the guy who's got some information and some knowledge on it. Let's bring him in.
All right, so let's bring in Jay Fit. Welcome to the show, Jay Fit. All right.
That's good.
Jay, Jay's actually a fitness instructor, very well in shape, right? Dave, you want to?
I'm gonna let him introduce himself. But well, actually, before I do that, I want to talk. I guess because he's far away from his camera, my head and your head, George, look a lot bigger than his head. So
I think I'm pretty close to my camera. I don't know.
It's intellectually, I think we're smarter than Jay Fit, but when it comes to fitness, Jay Fit is doing something. He's going to be a strength and conditioning coach. Actually, he is a strength and conditioning coach. He's starting to work with fighters. Let's get right into it. Muscles. Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. Tell us from a strength and conditioning point of view, who's the better fighter and why, or does it matter? Tell us something about it because we don't know. We're speculating.
All right. So, my take on it is you got to be able to support whatever body type you have. So there's guys that are really heavy that have a lot of stamina. There's guys that are really small that don't have much stamina. So Anthony Joshua has a lot of muscles. So he has to be able to basically keep those muscles going. They need oxygen. So it's different types of muscle fabric. There's different types of skeletal muscle fabrics that the body has. And it depends on the training for each individual one to get the performance you want.
All right. That was very, very complicated. All right. You're saying there's different types of muscles. All right. Anthony Joshua, who's like ripped. He's got big muscles bulging on top of muscles. Right. So he needs oxygen. How do you get oxygen to those muscles? Is it a type of training? What do you do with a guy that muscular?
All right. So let's break down a couple things. In boxing, they say, weights is no good. I don't necessarily believe that. It's what type of weight training you do. Just like in any other sport, you want to be stronger, but when you become stronger and your muscles grow, right? I'm telling you, they require more oxygen because it takes more endurance. So if you want to keep those big muscles, which are good for certain things, you have to be able to work them out to the point where you're working on type. I'm trying to keep it simplified, but you want to work type 1A and type B of muscle fabric. So I'll just break it down a little bit faster for you. So type A, right? So you have in your muscles, like the bicep, The bicep has 60% of 60% type A. I mean type B, type 2, right? So that has to do with fast twitching muscles. Those are the muscles that get tired the fastest because they're doing heavy workload. 40% of that is part, type 1, which is slow twitching. So you have to have an equal combination of your workout. You can't just work out those big muscle groups without working out the other type, because one is good for like powerlifting, for example, and one is good for maybe like running the marathon. You need more oxygen in them. So you need to fine tune your workout to fit the athlete.
All right, so that's what I was saying. Like Anthony Joshua looked like a damn bodybuilder. He didn't look like a boxer. Do you think he had something to do because he was getting ready for Big Baby Miller?
I mean, listen, if that was a part of his strategy, to me, I wouldn't take that strategy, but I can see how he would try to be bigger to fight someone of that size, because Big Baby's not exactly a baby. He's a really big guy.
The monster.
So, he's a 300-pound beast.
He's
a bowling ball that punches.
He's a baby dinosaur.
He's a boulder that punches.
So I can see him trying to do that for that. But to me, I mean, nevertheless, it makes no sense to me, because like I said, you're going to have to keep up. Even if you're becoming bigger to fight somebody bigger, you're going to have to keep up the work rate, the oxygen in your muscles, not letting lactic acid set in, to fight this big guy. So why would you do something that is a little, it's already out of your body type? I think you focus on the tools, that what you have.
Gotcha. You got a question for him, George?
No, I just want to say a big shout out to Frank in Pueblo. He says all elements of fitness play a great part, and that is so true. I gotta agree with that. But yeah, I do have this one question. I think a lot had to do with, and you were right on, Dave. You said something about he was training for a different type of fight. He was going to face Big Baby Miller, and all of a sudden that fight fell through, and we all know for the reason. I mean, Baby Miller tested positive from some kind of enhancement, whatever drug or whatever it was. So now he's facing a smaller opponent, and in the way of Ruiz, and Ruiz was a fast little guy. He was heavy. He was a little guy, but he was very fast. Now, do you think that might have played a part in the fact that Joshua Anthony didn't have enough time to actually change his fighting style because it was already too late in the game? You think that might have caused it?
To me, Joshua looked slower than normal. Times that I've seen him fight, and Ruiz, regardless of what his body looks like, he has very fast hands. So he wasn't prepared for the speed of Ruiz. I mean, at least Ruiz's upper body. I don't think he moves very much, but his hands move quick, and he got caught in a fight that he didn't want to have, that he wasn't physically prepared for.
Okay, so what's the difference between training for strength as opposed to training for endurance? There's a big difference, I'm sure.
Yes, there is. So like it's kind of weird to break down, like I said, the two different type of muscle fibers. To me, what's the best type of athlete? Somebody that can run a marathon or somebody that can powerlift? I think in the middle, right? So more like somebody like a triathlon. You can kind of do a little bit of everything. So there's actually a category for that. So I think strength is very important, but so is conditioning, hence strength and conditioning. So you have to strengthen all types of muscles. You have to work on your endurance, right? Cardio. So you need the anaerobic workout, right? For strength, lifting heavy, maybe moving objects, but you also need the aerobic part, because oxygen, everything that a fighter relies on, for their muscles to work is oxygen. Without it, right, you look sluggish, you're tired, you're out
So
of breath.
you're saying all aerobic exercise is practice to getting oxygen to your lungs?
Basically, that's what the body is requiring. Aerobic workouts, they're requiring oxygen.
And anaerobic is what?
Anaerobic is basically like an example is like a bench press, right? Breathing is not just going to do it, right? You need to tap into something else. You know, your body has to compensate.
All right, George, you got a question, George?
Yeah, actually, I do. I wanted to ask you about the explosive power of. Okay, so I want to ask you about the explosive punching power as opposed to endurance. I mean, how do you get that? How do you get the explosive punching power, you know, that you need? You know, because you're going to need power, obviously, when you're trying to knock somebody out, as opposed to endurance. How would you develop that?
Explosive punching power, like you see a lot of trainers now using slam balls. You know, I think it's a great tool because, you know, you have weight in it and you're using force to push it. So a lot of strength and conditioning and a lot of training is based on movement, right? It's perfecting movement. So think about it. When you throw a punch, you know what I mean? Whether it's a right hand, it's coming from, you know, point A to point B, right? So you want to imitate those movements with force, whether it's resistance band, which is pulling away, or whether it's with a medicine ball, which you're having weight and you're pushing that weight towards whatever target is desired. I mean, there's several different ways. It's really about perfecting the movement.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of old school in saying like you perfect the movement by throwing punches, but I understand what you mean. All right, let's go to Andy Ruiz. If you were his strength and conditioning coach, what will you do? Is it okay that he's essentially, I'm not saying this disparagingly, but he's a fat bastard. You know, like he's just a big, heavy guy. He could fight. He's fast. But can you fight like that? Can you win a championship if you look like that? Is it looks or what is it?
I mean, I'll leave that up to the coaching side, but as far as the strength and conditioning portion and muscle endurance, whatever you want to call it, if you look at both fights, right, or if you've seen Anthony Ruiz fight before, he is very explosive, absolutely, with his punches, right? So really, his hands aren't the problem. The problem are the feet. I think if he has a flaw, a kink in his armor, it would be his mobility. His feet don't move. And if you look at the second fight, I mean, I think that Joshua's corner realized that. They made him lose weight. He came in a lot lighter so he can move. And you've seen that Andy had a hard time catching him because his feet, he had to be close to him to hit him. So I would work a lot of mobility with the legs with Andy Ruiz, which obviously he didn't because he couldn't throw a punch unless Anthony Joshua was standing flat-foot right in front. Andy Ruiz was standing flat-foot right in front of him.
Okay. Do you think it's his vision? Is his vision? Andy Ruiz possibly cannot see his feet because his belly is big. you think? Would you do something about that? Would you or would you not do something about that?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to talk bad about him because maybe the opportunity presents itself. He might, you know, require some of my services, but we definitely the game plan would have definitely been changed for that fight.
I mean, he's a great fighter. If he's in better shape, doesn't he win? Doesn't he win if he's in better shape?
Becoming like 30 pounds heavier. I mean,
like I said, his team should be fired.
I don't think so. I don't really think so, Joel, because the way I saw it, he even admitted he slacked off. His team was on him, but he just slacked off. He tasted some money. He bought some cars. He bought a fancy house, and you know what? He slacked off, and he even admitted. Now, does he get another chance now? And how did
I heard they have In-N-Out burgers in California. I heard that like the stocks went up in In-N-Out burgers when Andy Ruiz won the championship. Like,
Listen, I agree. Maybe that.
Bars. He was talking about Snickers bars the whole time. I thought he was going to get a commercial. I mean, and look, it's not the guy because the guy's an excellent fighter, but I think that weight held him down, and that's what. And going back to your point, Joel, about his feet not moving, maybe the weight was the one that's causing him not to move. And
no, there's two parts. There's two parts to that. Yes, absolutely, the weight. Nutrition plays because that's sports medicine, right? How a healthy body. How a healthy body is, given exercise to increase your performance. That's the whole point of sports science. So yes, the nutrition part, but even besides that fight, even in the first fight, even when I watched Andy Ruiz fight before, his feet do not move. That's something that his camp really, I've never seen. Even in the highlights of him warming up to a fight, they rarely use mobility. I mean, at least that's what I've seen from all his highlights. It's always about throwing punches in front of his trainer, holding pads. And that's not the evolution of boxing. That's one part of it. But what do you do when a guy's on his bike, as
okay.
boxers
so do you have exercises to improve mobility? Do you have exercises as a strength and conditioning trainer with some boxing and kickboxing experience?
If you don't, then I guess you're a terrible strength and conditioning
coach.
Of course.
Be on notice. Joel Allen is coming out. All right, Joel.
It's mobility.
Thank you. All right, so let's go to the breakdown of the fights. We're going to bring in somebody else. We're going to bring in the professor.
Just before you do, I just want to give a couple of shout outs before you bring him in.
Shout out a few people because Joel's I heard Joel's girlfriend is posing as another person, putting in comments. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if it's
comments here. Tony Schultz, we want to welcome you to the Coach's Corner.
That's a good man, Tony.
Tony's a good man. That's right. And then, something that interesting that Franklin Prolo brought up, he says you lose the mental edge. He lost mental edge, not just the weight. It's true. I think sometimes being heavier, I think it detracts from your focus and that's just my opinion, studying on my own body, when I'm sluggish, you're not mentally there. I think, does that play a role in it, Joel?
Absolutely, of course. Like, you have to be okay. So, like, if you're healthy, it's not defined just by a weight. It's what you consume. Like you said, he was eating Snickers and talking about Snickers. I mean, what nutritional value do you get from that? And as the mental advantage.
I believe they have peanuts.
Oh, yeah.
All right, go back.
So what you put in your body is what you get out. It's like a car, you know what I mean? That's the nutritional aspect. You put good fuel in, right? You're able to do more. So yeah, he came in heavy. He came in a little bit more sluggish, but he thought he had the advantage because of the first fight, and Anthony Joshua's team did their homework and realized what they needed to work on and executed it. The guy was on his bicycle the whole fight, throwing punches and moving and making this heavier guy walk towards him before he could throw a punch, because Ruiz really doesn't punch on the move. He has to be flat-footed before he lets his hands go.
You saw also Ruiz come in. Joshua Anthony, I'm sorry, came in a little bit smaller. He didn't look as beefy as he did in the first fight.
Yes, because his muscles take up too much oxygen. Yeah, he's obviously, and from my opinion, Joshua's always had a problem with fatigue a little bit. He's a great fighter. I take nothing away from him, but if you look at some of his fights, he looks a little tired when they go into the later rounds. And obviously, he was too big because he looked tired, and that's what wore him down. So him coming in lighter allowed him to go the full 12 rounds, allowed him to be more mobile. His team did the better job.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jay, for joining us tonight, man. And that's Jay Fitness. Now, tell us where we could follow you and where we could get some physical tips. And I think you have a show that you do as well, right?
Yeah, well, obviously we're in Corona season, and it sucks. Gyms are closed, so we host Zoom classes. We call it Weekend Warriors, Saturday and Sunday. You can hit me up on my website, finestfitness.com, Instagram __ finestfitness __ Facebook Finest Fitness. Just definitely write to us, and then we a multitude of things we do: online training, personal training. So and one of the main, and was interesting you said, George, was the mental aspect of this, the mental aspect of fitness, because it's also it's not just a physical thing. It's you have to be mentally into it, especially with fighting.
All right, so there you go. All right, so thank you so much, man, for joining us again here tonight on the Coach's Corner. We appreciate your knowledge and your background in fitness. I mean, you're in excellent shape. We've seen you work out and do some of the workouts. Those are pretty cool. And again, if you want to know more about fitness, definitely go to Finest Fitness with Jay Fit. He does a great job with that. So thank you. And from us here at the Coach's Corner, we thank you for tuning in with us tonight.
Thank you, guys.
All right, take care. Now we're going to bring a next guest. All right, there goes the applause. All right. Our next guest coming on, a 3-time Golden Glove champ and a coach in his own right. Excellent coach as well, too. And he sat in with us a couple of times on some of the shows that we did on some amateur boxing. I want to welcome Ron McCall, 3-time Golden Glove champ. The Professor, aka the Professor. Hey, Ron, welcome to the show, man. Thank you for joining us.
How's everything going?
Good. I see you in your car charging your phone.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm always out and about.
We're gonna talk about Ruiz, Joshua. Before we do it, I got to show a couple of videos about simple things that I'm going to be referring to. One is footwork, and Joel already referred to that. And the other is punching. Let's tell me when I could go, George.
Go ahead, put it up.
Okay. All right. Simple footwork. Okay. Coach's Corner. Simple footwork. Forward, back. Simple footwork with the jab. Don't do this. Move it. Okay. You do this, you get caught. That's a mistake. All right. Simple footwork. Sideways. You can move yourself in a whole stance, which is good. You can walk. Or you can turn sideways. If you turn sideways, for the most part, you're running away. That's how you do footwork. All right, I'm going to do that. And I got to do a quick punching video, too, for Anthony Joshua. The reason about it is you're gonna see when we pay for it. You're Anthony Joshua, and you want to keep Andy Ruiz off. You do not throw driving punches. Driving punches mean that you're coming forward, right? Even if you're coming forward and jumping back, you're driving. So you stay in there a little bit, all right? You need to throw a whipping punch. Whipping punches come back. You whip it out and they come back. Whip. All day, every day, if you want to keep a guy off of you, whip those punches. Okay, let's go back to Ronnie McCall. George, I had to show those two videos, and we'll talk about them with Ronnie if it's all right. Ronnie, we got you back.
Yeah, what's up?
Okay. All right, so those two things are going to be the interest. For me, this fight wasn't so much about Andy Ruiz, what he did or didn't do. This fight was more about Anthony Joshua, what he did and didn't do. Because he's taller, he's got the reach advantage. He's in great shape. I think Andy Ruiz basically has shown one dimension. He could throw offense if you're in front of him, and I don't think he showed much else. I don't want to talk about him like he's a different fighter. That's the fighter he seems to me. I mean, do you see anything different in Andy Ruiz? Just an offensive powerhouse if you stand in front of him.
No, exactly what you said is actually, I concur with that. I concur with everything you said with that. From the first fight to the second fight, he didn't show any change other than, he can stand it. He's got really fast hands for a big guy. You know, the visual effect of looking at him as a fighter and watching him in the ring, there are just two different things. You know, he's got really extremely fast hands for a guy that big. So I was very impressed by that, but he didn't he didn't change anything about that. And I think you're absolutely right.
Okay, that and these are the things I'm showing. And the reason I'm saying this is I'm going to do the breakdown, and I'm again. I know Andy Ruiz is heavy. I know he's not the body beautiful. He is a tremendous boxer. He has tremendous heart. I'm not saying anything disparaging about him, but unless he changes his style, unless he really changes his footwork, unless he makes himself more than what he is right now, he's at an A- level. He's not at really the top level. You know, that's there. I don't see him beating the top heavyweight guys with the arsenal that he has right now, with the tools in his arsenal right now.
No, absolutely not. And I concur with that too.
Okay. So let's George, anytime you're ready to give me back the screen, I will go right into the video.
Okay, let's take a look at that video, and then I got a question for Coach Ron.
Okay. Hopefully, come on.
Here you go.
Okay, so this is the first fight, round 1. Okay, we got Anthony Joshua in the white trunks and Andy Ruiz, the Destroyer, in the gold trunks. Okay. Now, this is one of my pet peeves in boxing. Ronnie, I don't know if I mean, George is used to me saying this when we broadcast, but I hate it when only the front foot moves on a jab. I just feel that if somebody moves away from you at that time, you're just stuck in an open stance. So I feel that I've always coached that both feet should move.
Yep.
Is there any argument with that with my from the professor?
Well, your feet have to move in tandem. They have to work together. You know,
I'm stealing that word from the professor. That's a good word. What does it mean? What does it mean?
You don't call him a professor for nothing, right?
Yeah.
But they have to move, both in a rhythm. They both have to move. You move your front foot, your back foot has to come with you. The distance you move your front foot is pretty much the distance you have to move your back foot. You have to keep your balance. Just to keep it moving.
Let me come back at you with some knowledge too, Professor. You can't do a two-step if only one foot moves.
Exactly. Yep. There you go. That's a good catchphrase. I got to steal that one from you.
Okay. So here's Anthony Joshua, just basically jabbing on his front foot, and you could see he's having trouble. He's getting caught on the inside,
and you see him as he's off balance. You can see as when he's finished, he's off balance.
Absolutely. Look at Ruiz. Ruiz moves both feet. I don't know if I caught this well. Yeah, you see both of his feet move. And
when he changes directions, he moves his left foot, he moves his right foot, he steps with his right foot, and he changes his both his feet move in the direction that he wants to go.
Absolutely. Awkward sequence. Now look at Anthony Joshua here. Now at any time, I'm gonna stop it. Basically, I'm gonna just stop and keep clicking with it. What I'm looking for when a person moves in a stance, and they move in a stance at any second, any split second, they could throw a decent punch. If you look at the way Anthony Joshua is moving through this awkward sequence, I'm going to bring it back a little bit. He's constantly off balance and not ready to throw a punch. Look, I'm going to do it in spurts. Right there. He's not really ready to punch. He's rocking back and forth. He comes in, he leaves his foot out. Andy Ruiz is cutting the distance, and look at how he just looks awkward as heck for me. Like he doesn't look like he's going back, but he's leaning forward. He's not really ready to throw a punch.
Right.
Okay. Here's the rematch. I actually split it up between the rematch. Look at the difference in the way Anthony Joshua is going to move.
He moves so much differently in the second fight than he did in the first.
Right. He's keeping his distance. He's staying ready. And he's very aware that Andy Ruiz can knock him out.
Look at how his feet, though. Look at his balance in his feet. Look at how his feet are a certain distance apart, and he's moving and again in tandem. His feet are moving in the same direction, both at the same time.
Absolutely. And let me go over like some of the footwork. I didn't go over. All right. So now let's go to it. One. Both feet are moving when he jabs. So he comes in. He's doing step backs. He's doing little step backs. An L step is I went over this. It's a step back and a step to the right.
To the side. Yep. Step to the side. Either way, it's a step over, step to the side.
Rear crossovers. He's letting his back foot cross over and staying in stance. That's a rear crossover, a Muhammad Ali type step. Here's a little bit of a side step. Walking backwards in stance. He's in a ready stance. Completely different. And then
even when he's off balance, at least he throws a jab to keep Ruiz honest. He's keeping, even if he's off balance and he moves back, Ruiz can't step in and close the distance on like he did in the first fight. And I thought that was a major adjustment that he made in the second fight to call, for him to win.
Absolutely. And this ain't perfect, but at least he steps in with the jab and he gets himself out. He's still throwing a driving jab, not a whipping jab. So, Andy Ruiz does have a chance to come in. All right. Here's something that I had a problem with Andy Ruiz. All right. He got Anthony Joshua in the corner. He's going to get him in the corner, and then he's just going to let him walk off with nothing. Here's Anthony Joshua in the corner, and Anthony Joshua says, okay, I'm going to go exit stage left. And look at Ruiz. He's not cutting him off. He's not taking any diagonal steps to him and everything. I have a problem with that.
But that goes to what Joel was saying earlier about his footwork, and that has a lot to do with it. He let him off the hook, and it was basically because Andy Ruiz is looking for a stationary target.
Right, absolutely. And then this is like, but for Andy Ruiz, there's not much you could do. I mean, when small fights tall, when we have the height disparity syndrome, and you're on the short end of the stick, pun intended, you're on the short end of the stick. What you have to do is there's three basic things. One is you punch when the other guy's punching. The other is you punch right after the other guy's finished. And the third, which is the hardest, is you make moves to get in on the inside and you punch. I would add a fourth, maybe, especially in the pros. I would have no problem with Andy Ruiz bull rushing Anthony Joshua, trying to pin him on the ropes, throwing some elbows, throwing some headshots, and beating him up. I would have had no problem with that, But he's basically, the way Ruiz is fighting is he is waiting for Anthony Joshua to relinquish his height advantage, stand in front of him and exchange punches. What Anthony Joshua is not going to do.
Right.
And you could see Anthony Joshua, they probably put matches in his shoes to make him like all over the place. Okay, now here's a little good sequence by Ruiz. I like this. Okay, but he ran away. Now this is what I'm talking about. This is how you walk somebody down. You see Andy Ruiz, he's going to make these moves and he's going to try to come in close. All right, head movement coming in. But look at Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua moves back. All right, this is the knockdown round in the first fight. Let's see what we're talking about. How Andy Ruiz did this. Here's Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is, first of all, he's bending down to Anthony Ruiz's level, and he hits him with a good combination. Now, instead of boxing him, he's trying to finish him off.
Right, he got brave. He thought he's trying to finish him off now.
Okay, and I just gotta show this again. Look, I mean, Ruiz is a tough guy. Ruiz is not somebody to be taken lightly. Even though you knocked him down, Ruiz is one tough hombre. You're not messing with this guy. Look at what Joshua does. Watch him give up his height. Look at that. Look at, he's just staying in there. He's bending down to Andy Ruiz's level, and he's trying to slug it out with him. And Andy Ruiz could fight, and he has a chin. If you're going to do that, Andy Ruiz has something for you. And that's what he has for you right there. There it is. He's got Snickers bars. And then he just fed Anthony Joshua some Snickers.
With peanuts.
All right. And look at AJ. Look now, who's hurt
And he
more?
goes right back in there, which was a mistake.
It was like diving back into the pool.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you just almost drowned in Snickers bars. Okay, and here he is. Here he is coming back in. Let me jump right back in there. And Andy Ruiz says, "Here's all kinds of Snicker bars. I wrap them in gold things." And now here's Joshua. No foot movement. Right? Look at Andy Ruiz. He's so happy. He doesn't even have to move. He's saying, "Yes, stand in front of me. Stand in front of me. Thank you. Thank you." You know what he sees right now? You know what Anthony Joshua looks like right now?
Lunch.
Yeah. A big old Snickers bar. Let me come in and take a bite. Here you go. Here you go. So stand there like the Snickers bar that you are.
Yep. He is lunch right there. That's all he is right there. He's just standing right in front of him. He's a buffet. I can take anything I want.
All you can eat. Yes, take another bite.
No movement here. None. He didn't take not one step to get out that corner. No movement whatsoever.
He was dazed and he just wasn't moving because he was dazed, or he was just, you know.
And then let's go back to this.
What was the reason why he wasn't moving is what I want to know.
He hadn't been moving throughout the fight. He hadn't been moving. After he knocked him down, his bravado got to him and he wanted to take him out. And he stayed too close.
Absolutely. So we can't blame him being dazed, because he was dazed and he did it, and he wasn't dazed and he did it. He did the same thing, dazed and undazed. He just and look at this. Why would you throw soft jabs to the belly? You're not going to hurt him. All you're going to do is put yourself in range. Look at that. Look at that. He's leaning forward. Here, hit my head, Andy. Andy, hit my head. Andy, you want to Snickers bar? Like, that's ridiculous. You know? Look at that. Look at Andy's backing up and coming in. And here you go. Here's the charge. Look at Andy Ruiz. Look at that.
There was no foot movement, no leg movement on there, nothing. I'm sure that he just wasn't prepared for Andy Ruiz and what type of fight he was going to be in.
Well, we talked about that earlier. He was preparing for Big Baby Miller, and I think he was looking for a slower pace fight, and he got something way different when he got in there with Ruiz.
But he did have enough time to study film. He did have enough time to check it out. And then also George and I spoke to the actual ring guy who put up this ring. Do you know that this is a special 26-foot ring that was brought into Madison Square Garden for Anthony Joshua?
26 feet? Whoa.
Yes, they brought in a special ring to give Anthony Joshua more room. So do you think they missed something on the fight plan? Because it was even written in to the ring. He got an extra 2 feet of room. But he did not use it. Okay. So
he just wasn't physically or mentally prepared for this type of fight or this type of fighter. He just was. I'll give him that for the only out that I'll give him for this fight, that he wasn't ready for it.
I agree.
All right. And here's look at Andy Ruiz. I mean, this guy, I don't care how heavy he is. He throws a serious amount of punches. He's very quick. He's got good hands, very sharp. This guy is a legitimate fighter. And this is the end. This is the finish. And he's about to take his, he's about to finish off the Snickers. And look at when he hit him. All right. And let me just pull back. I just want to explain to the audience that last combination, when we said, all right, this is the new champ, right? Before Andy Ruiz gets off his punches, look at what Anthony Joshua is doing. He's coming in and he's feeding him. All right. Look at him. He's coming forward, trying to hurt this guy. He's already shown he can't. And look at him. He's coming forward, leaning forward, and that's how you do it. Okay. Let's just take a look at the rematch. This is where in round 8, the reason I have this up is because in round 8, Andy Ruiz showed some life. Let's take a look at it. He's coming forward. He's starting to exchange. He's a good right hand right there. Good right hand. Look at the difference. Andy Joshua is holding on for dear life.
Yep, and he jumps back in the fight.
Right. And do you see what he's doing? He's half stepping, he's jabbing, and he's moving out. This is the formula. This is the formula for look at him sidestep. He is running. He is not staying around Andy Ruiz. And if Andy Ruiz gets close to him, he's not being tough. But Ruiz is still dangerous. Look at him go. You know,
he's tying him up on the inside and he's moving. He's moving and creating distance. And he's making Ruiz catch him. And Ruiz can't throw those fast hands if this guy keeps moving. And his hands can't move if this guy's not standing still.
Absolutely. Andy Ruiz has almost no chance against Joshua unless he moves his feet. The footwork gets you there. Yes, you can deliver the punch, but you can't deliver that punch unless you get there. You have to get there.
You have to get there. Yep.
Right. And let's take a quick look at so round 9. So Andy Ruiz, the reason I put round 9 is there because Andy Ruiz showed me something in round 8. Now, is he going to continue the momentum or what happens? Well, let's take a look in round 9. What happens? And here's what happens. Anthony Joshua is back on his horse and he is moving. Look at him. Sidestepping, which is running away, a legal way to run away. He's even throwing some check hooks, which he never done. He's throwing a jab and he's not staying there. He's running. And in round 11, now you did 10 rounds of this. Andy Ruiz has got to be a little bit tired. Anthony Joshua's got to be a little bit tired. But with that strength and conditioning, who is the strength and conditioning coach? Was it Joel Allen? Well, whatever. I know that Joel would have trained him this way too. He is in round 11. Look at this guy again on his horse. He's still trotting away. He's running one way. He's running the other way, showing a jab, and then running back. Is he running away? Yes. But he who lives to fight another day is because he first ran away or something like that. Oh, do you see that? Do you see that? All right. This is something that Anthony Joshua needs to do. And I think he did this because he was just like fooling around and he was just playing around in his mind. I'm going to do Muhammad Ali. But this is a legitimate punch. It's called a whipping punch. Right? Watch it. Bang. That's a whipping punch. That's a whip. That is not a drive. That's a whipping punch. And he actually did it a couple more times. See, he's playing around like he's Ali. Those are whipping punches. Those are what you need to do if you're 6 foot. How tall is he? Like 6'5" or something like that?
6'6".
That's what you need to do. Round 12, look at him. He's still running. Hold on to him for dear life, because Andy Ruiz will still knock you out. Okay? I'm sorry, AJ, but the chin is suspect. Andy Ruiz is a tough, Snickers-eating guy, and he was running. Okay, that's what I got. Okay.
All right. My question to you, Ron McCall, and does the stock value of Andy Ruiz now drop because of that second fight? Because his stock value went up on the first fight, but now does it drop? And does he ever get another title shot ever again? Is my question.
In my honest opinion, no, he doesn't get another title shot because he was the Rocky. He's the Rock. He's the story that Rocky was built on. He was the sub for the main challenger. This guy got hurt or something happened to him. He got scrubbed. He steps in, and Joshua wasn't ready for that type of fight. So now when he gets in there, Joshua loses his title to Ruiz, and Ruiz jumps back in the ring. He's supposed to keep up that Rocky story. But the Snickers and the food and he just wasn't ready for that anymore. The superstardom got to him, and he just lost all. It seems like he lost all his motivation to fight.
All right, I'm going to answer that question a little bit differently. In the money of boxing, which in the business of boxing, which is about making money, I think other champions like Tyson Fury and other people are looking at Andy Ruiz and saying, well, you know what? I'm tall. If I stay away from him, I could take an easy fight. And I will do that. I won't stand in front of him. That's a formula if you're tall for beating Andy Ruiz. And then Andy Ruiz also, these aren't title fighters, but title matches, but he gets to be a gatekeeper and he gets paid. He brings a tremendous Mexican population in there. He's going to get paid a lot more. Hopefully he can do some stuff, to improve his game. But I did want to say something to the people out there. There's a reason I brought in Coach Ron McCall, because Ron McCall, how tall are you, Ronnie?
6'2".
6'2". All right, Ron McCall is 6'2", and when you won your first Golden Gloves, what weight did you fight at?
I was 132 pounds. I won the 132-pound novice championship at my first year in the Golden Gloves.
And were you the same height?
I was the same height, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no,
so
I was actually 6'1". I grew another inch and a half.
Yeah. Okay. So he was back then. He was. I'm not even going to say you were the Anthony Joshua of the you were more like the Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury of the 132-pound class.
Yeah. Every guy I fought was shorter than 5'7". So I had a very distinctive height and reach advantage over everybody I fought.
Yeah. If I was helping to run a tournament like George and I now, we would give you some sort of disadvantage. We would make you fight on your knees or something like that. So that it would be fair. I might put some lubricant on your knees so that you could move fast and still do your shuffle. But I would not let you fight. That's just unfair.
I hear somebody laughing in the background. All right.
That's laugh meter.
All right. So now, quick question, Dave, because I have people in the audience actually they're disagreeing with what you said about Anthony Joshua running. They didn't say he was running. He's making moves. He's dancing. He's keeping Ruiz and keeping Ruiz away. But you said that was running. Now, how did you see that, Coach Ron? Did you see that as running, or you saw that as just being strategic and trying to win?
That's exactly what he needed to do. That's what his strategy should have been in the first fight. I guess he wasn't prepared for that, but they prepared for the second fight, and that was the strategy that needed to be used. And you box a guy when you have distinct height and reach advantages over your opponent. Use them. You have to use them. And if your legs are longer, have long legs and long arms, you use them. Especially when you have a 4 or 5 inch reach advantage over this guy. You keep that guy 4 or 5 inches away from you. And you use your legs to move around and jab him. Every time he comes in, you pop him with the right hand, hit him with the right hand, hit him with a couple of combination punches.
Coach Ron, when you were 6'1" in the 132-pound class, beating up with these little munchkins, were you running or were you coming and you were punching them?
Oh, I came right at him. Hey, I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to eat your lunch. I'm coming to get you.
There you go.
But I used the reach because I knew they couldn't get to me. All I got to do is stick my left arm out. The minute they got past it, they got hit with the right hand.
Yeah, I don't think he was running. I think it was just a tool in his toolbox that he was using. I mean, you see Mayweather doing it all the time, and they accuse him of running. I think he's a smart boxer for doing that. Mayweather uses that same technique. The whole objective of boxing is hitting and not getting hit. And I didn't see anything wrong with that. I don't think it's running. I think it's just a tool that you have. So I can't agree with you on that.
I'm not saying that that I'm calling him a track star. Okay, I'm not saying that he shouldn't do it. He should do it, but he's a track star. Okay,
but that's something that he needed to do. He really needed to do that.
Yes.
So he's in the wrong sport. He should be competing with Usain Bolt, is what you're saying.
Yeah. If Usain Bolt boxed him, he would beat him up. All right, Ronnie, let's talk a little about your career. You went to 132. You went to 139. You won it there. You went to 147, and a lot of people that I know say that you got robbed. You're one of them. And then you won it in 156. Now you won 3 Golden Gloves in 3 different weights, and Emmanuel Stewart contacted you because he wanted to turn you pro. Emmanuel Stewart dealt with a lot of tall fighters. He dealt with Milton McCory, of course, Tommy Hearns, Donald Curry. Oh my God! There's one fighter who ended up dying. He had his name started with a G. a tremendous fighter. But Emmanuel Stewart had all these tall fighters and thin fighters, and he wanted. Can you just tell us about that and why you didn't become a pro boxer? It's great because you're on the police force and you're helping save the kids' lives. You're the head coach of the NYPD boxing team. But tell us about Emmanuel Stewart, who knows how to make tall people fight. Tell us about that.
That meeting with him wasn't actually in New York City. I wanted to they asked me and they invited me to go out to Detroit to go see the gym and become part of the team. But when we started putting pencil to paper, that's when things get very interesting in professional sports, regardless of what sport you're in. When you sit down and sign a contract, you have to understand that this is a contract and you're bound to it. So just to make a long story short, the numbers just didn't add up right. 15% for a trainer, 33.5% goes to the management, and 1% goes to the production of the whole thing. That's 49% of your money, the money that you get, the check that you have to sign, you have to give up 49% of that. And that was a big turnoff for me as a professional athlete. That's a big turnoff for me. You just do the numbers. Out of $100,000, you make $100,000 in a paycheck, and the first person that's coming to get you is Uncle Sam, and he's at between 25 and 28%. So now you're still getting cut another 45 to 49% of the money that you made, and you come home after $100,000 paycheck with about $30,000. I thought that was just that was a hard way to live in a school of hard knocks.
That's true. Gerald McClellan is the other fighter.
Yeah, Gerald McClellan. Gerald.
Right. Tremendous.
All right. So yeah, I definitely get that. I mean, is that common ground in boxing, and is that common ground in boxing back then, or is it common ground in boxing today? That's
a standard contract. That's pretty much a standard contract. Emmanuel Stewart got 15% because he was Emmanuel Stewart.
Right.
He's making champions. He's proven he's making champions. So between 10 and 15% is what most trainers get. Emmanuel Stewart, being who he is, he wants 15%. And I think that was fair, but damn.
or who he was, and may he rest the late Emmanuel Stewart, great trainer also. All right. So,
George, speaking of trainers getting money, we just interviewed somebody the Thursday before last, who didn't get that much money. And that was Andre Rozier with Danny Jacobs on that Canelo fight, which was a $15 million fight. And I believe Andre Rozier got less than 1%.
Yeah, I think Ronnie dropped off. But yeah, and Kareem Blue, let me just say, you forgot Lennox Lewis also, that was trained by Emmanuel Stewart. That's right. We forgot about him. But yeah, big heavyweight champion. And I want to ask Ronnie something, because somebody jumped in, and welcome Kareem to the show. And LaRon Rhodey, thank you for joining us here. Ron's back.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong button.
No, it's okay. It's all good. I want to ask you about something that somebody wrote in. I want to read this question real quick. Hold on, let me just bring that back up. That Pete Zalo, I think it's Zazlo.
My man Zaz. Hi Zaz, how you doing, buddy?
He said he would never blow you hit Jade Scott with in the Empire State Games.
Okay, these things happen. Jade was the first guy that I fought in about maybe 4 years that was the same height as me. So I went to go to the body.
You did not like that. So what do? You hit him low.
I went to go to the body, and damn, it just went a little low. That's all.
All right, and he says that's why some fighters don't use managers; they work through a broker, I guess, or broker. Is that what it says?
Okay, yeah. Sugar Ray Leonard did it the best. Sugar Ray Leonard, is the model for what Mayweather's doing or has done.
Right. Sugar Ray Leonard incorporated himself as a company. He was his own boxing company. He paid managers and trainers whatever he decided to pay him. Mayweather is like the pay-per-view king. Oscar De La Hoya knows a lot about that as well. And, but that's all well and good. But, if you're not Superman, like Sugar Ray Leonard came out of the Olympics. He was the poster boy of everybody. He was handsome. He was fast. He looked great. Everybody wanted to see him. He could call the shots. Mayweather, after years and years of boxing, had that great record. He beat all those champions. He could call the shots. Everybody else cannot call the shots. You have to get either a manager or a promoter now. You have to. And,
Now here's a pressing question for you, Ron. And that comes from Kareem Blue. He says, did you try to renegotiate that contract?
No, there's no renegotiating contracts. That's if you ask anybody who knows boxing, the standard contract is 33 1/3 for a manager and pretty much 10% for a trainer.
Yeah, that's changed now because now fighters the whole it's a lot to get into, but the Muhammad Ali law is that you cannot be somebody's promoter and somebody's manager at the same time. The reason
that would be two different things. Yeah, that's two different.
Right.
You have to have two different entities for that. Yes.
But it seems like that's what they're doing now because boxers are signing directly with promoters. Promoters are essentially managing their career by getting them fights. If they have to do that. So that's changed. That happened just for people out there to know. The Muhammad Ali act was because Don King was Ali's manager, and he's like, hey, I got you a fight, champ. And where'd you get it from? Well, let's go to the promoter. So Don King would like change his hat and put on his promoter hat, and actually I have a promoter hat. Wait a minute.
Is he going to get the wig?
So Don King will put on his promoter hat and say, listen, I spoke to your manager, right? And I spoke to your manager and
the hat.
We're going to give you X amount of money. We're going to give you $1 million, champ. Right. And then meanwhile, the promoter would say, all right, manager, I'm going to take an extra $1 million for myself. Is that okay? And the manager's, yes, of course. Why don't you take that? So Don King walked around and he just everybody money.
King walked around with a traffic cone on his head like you are right now. Why do you
see the cheesiness in there? Look at that.
Yeah, it was real cheesy too.
Yeah, and you know what I say when you took my picture, right? All right. But that's not what people are doing now. People are signing with promoters. Trainers are getting 10%, but 10% seems to be going to the whole camp. And then sometimes they don't even pay the 10%. And then as Entree Ruiz said, sometimes you don't have a contract and your fighter just kind of leaves you in the dust.
All right. So so now like guys like Mayweather and these type of things. I mean, that's you have to be really business savvy to do that. And I think Mayweather is that something that that fighters are going more towards, or are they following? Because right now you see somebody like Eddie Hearns that's kind of like the promoter. He's also like he gets some with Matchroom. Is that something like, I mean, where are we going in boxing is where I'm trying to get at.
Is that a question for me?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Why not?
We want the professional.
I've been out of the game for more than 30 years now, and I just tell guys who are on the cusp of turning pro or doing it, you have to have a business mind. You have to have a business mind. You have to know your numbers. You have to know what percentages are. You have to know what these round figures are, because you sign a contract that you're going to get paid $5 million, and you're not getting paid $5 million. A lot of guys don't understand that. You said you hear all on the broadcast. This is a $20 million fight, $20 million payday for a certain individual. They're not getting $20 million. That's what's in the contract for them to get. By the time they finish, cutting the corners and everybody's getting a piece of that. All the cornermen, all of the trainers, and all of the sparring partners, everybody gets a cut to that. You're down to about $5 million. You know, and it is a lot of money, but it's not as much money as you know, as they're reporting it as it's gonna be. So I tell a lot of guys to be very careful about that. And
I'm gonna give a good example of that. I was in the training camp with Panama Lewis once, and he was talking about it, and he was quoting Don King. So basically, you have fighters who will come up to Don King and ask him for money because he managed them, and Don King would just say, okay, give him any amount of money and just sign. So now what happens is you take and I'm not going to go with big figures. Let's just go with $100,000. It's a $100,000 fight, and you're training for it. Well, you got to pay sparring partners. You got to pay the manager. You got to pay the coach. Suppose you decide to go away to a camp, then you got to pay for the hotel or the house you're living in. You got to pay for the food. Everything you do is going to cost you money, right? If there's an accountant, you're paying him. So by the time you're done, like a lot of these fighters are saying, oh, Don King didn't pay me. Yeah, he paid you, but he took off all the expenses. Did he add expenses? Yeah. Did you sign for him? Yes. So that there is that dirty part of boxing. I think it's getting cleaned up a lot more with the promoters getting involved. But it's something to think about. As far as everything else goes, you know, it is what it is. From the coach's point of view, I'm interested today in strength and conditioning. I'd love to see Andy Ruiz really commit to a strength and conditioning lifestyle. I'd like to see him get footwork. I think he's a great fighter. And I'd like to see Anthony Joshua. By the way, I don't think Anthony Joshua could beat Deontay Wilder even if Wilder had COVID. Okay?
No, not doing it. No.
Yeah. Right. I think Wilder would hit him, you know, because Anthony Joshua does not have proper defensive, you know, with his 6'5", 6'6" frame, he doesn't have the proper defense, and he's just learning the proper footwork. So I don't think he'll beat that. But I'd love to see him get better. I'd love to see him, you know, just stop worrying about the weights and worry more about, you know, being in good shape.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we just turned over an hour here on the Coach's Corner. Any last you know, statements or anything that you want to touch on, Dave, and then we'll go to Ron?
No, I just it's great that we have different type body sizes. We got Andy Ruiz's of the world, and then we have like the Professor Ron McCalls of the world beating up you know,
little guys.
Imagine that he took everybody's milk money, you know, when he was in elementary school. I could see him just like holding things up in the air while other kids are trying to jump for him. You know, the beauty of boxing is we could take a bully like him and make him into something interesting. We can make interesting fights with people like the Professor Ron McCall, Anthony Joshua, and Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I think it's a great thing to have people like you, Ronnie, in the world.
we change the game. We got to change the game.
Hey, Ron, do you and I'll ask you this last question. Do you coach any of the kids right now in the boxing, you know, in the boxing world?
Well, I go back to my home in Bed-Stuy, and I work with any of the kids that are there when I show up. I just give them some pointers and try to make them better, you know, make them better fighters. You know, try to get them into some kind of rhythm and show them, you know, footwork, like with the subject we were talking about today with Dave. Footwork, how to use your feet to get in and out. Sometimes you just can't walk to a guy and throw punches at him and expect that to work every time. Only person I knew that can do that that pulled that off was Aaron Pryor. You know,
yeah,
but
Aaron Pryor had a rock like chin, and he didn't mind if he got hit. He had zero.
He throws so many punches at you, you just couldn't get off on him. But that's you know, he's that once in a lifetime kind of guy, and I don't see anybody else, you know, that can duplicate that. I don't see anybody else that's trying to duplicate that, because you're gonna take too many shots coming in, and that's gonna hurt. So you don't want that. But I try to work with these kids and try to show them footwork and try to show them how to move in and out and around. Like Dave says, his L step, like he calls his infamous L step. That works every time. You know, you take a step over to the side, sidestep a guy, and you create an opening. You create an opening, you know, if you follow it behind a jab. But again, I work with the kids in the gym. I work, you know, with the NYPD cops and NYPD, so we can put on the show the smokers and the charity, try to make them, you know, exciting events. Teach these guys about how to box a little bit. But
all right, is there any social media or anywhere that anybody could contact you or follow you?
I'm not really a social media savvy, but I have a Facebook page and an IG page. That's it. That's all I have.
All righty. So you can follow him there on his IG or Facebook is Ron McCall. Thank you for joining us tonight, man. We appreciate your presence here with us tonight, the professor of boxing.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate what you do for the NYPD boxing team and with the kids, especially with the kids that you're working with. What you do is tremendous, and it's a really a noble thing, and we thank you for that. You know, being a 3-time Golden Glove champ, we really do appreciate you helping out the kids in the neighborhoods.
Thank you.
All right, so that wraps it up here tonight on the Coach's Corner. We thank you guys all for joining us tonight. We appreciate you. Tune in on Thursday where we're going to have Smoker Talk Boxing, where we have a guest coming on as well. You guys can come in and also tune in and ask your questions and stuff. It's going to be really exciting on Thursday. Dave, are we going to spill the beans on who's going to be on? Or
we have we're going to work with 2 championship referees, Eddie Claudio and Sparkle Lee, and we're going to bring them on and talk to them about. Hopefully, some people could come out there and maybe they want to be a referee. We're going to talk about starting to be a referee. You don't have to have boxing experience to be a referee. You know, Jeff Richard, how you doing? Maybe Jeff Richard could be a referee. You know,
hey, you never know, right?
Yeah.
So you'll see the ins and outs of being a referee in the professional sport of boxing. So tune in again at 8:00 right here on it's not Coach's Corner, but it's Smoker Talk Boxing. You'll see us on Thursday night at 8:00. So we thank you. We'll see you guys Thursday at 8:00. You guys all have a great night. Take care now.